Hello again. I think that most viewers are aware of the fact, even if they do not speak it out loud, that a war is being waged upon the very idea of whiteness and white civilization. Few spell out precisely what they mean by this as clearly as American academic Susan Sontag, who described white civilization as a cancer. But nevertheless, this is the prevailing trend among progressive and liberal types in Europe and America. Instead of pride in the achievements of white civilization, we are instead urged to feel shame. Susan Sontag explained why in an essay that she wrote. She said, "The truth is that Mozart, Pascal, Boolean algebra, Shakespeare, parliamentary government, Baroque churches, Newton, the emancipation of women, Kant, Marx, ballet, etc. don't redeem what this particular civilization has wrought upon the world. The white race is the cancer of human history. It is the white race, and it alone, its ideologies and inventions, which eradicates autonomous civilizations wherever it spreads, which has upset the ecological balance of the planet, which now threatens the very existence of life itself. What the Mongol hordes threaten is far less frightening than the damage that Western man, with his idealism, his magnificent art, his sense of intellectual adventure, his world-devouring energies for conquest, has already done and threatens to do." This is, of course, no more than a simple statement that white Europeans, like people from Asia and Africa, have done some good and constructive things, but also done other things which are not so good, and in some cases are downright wicked. Few of us would disagree if we phrase it in that way. At least Sontag was open about her views and made no bones of her desire to see white civilization dismantled and destroyed. She belonged to that old romantic tradition which believed that all other cultures lived at harmony with each other and the natural world, a little like the Garden of Eden before the fall. Of course, this is nonsense, because primitive and pre-literate societies managed to cause an awful lot of harm both to other people and also to the land on which they lived. One thinks of the Bantu conquest of Africa, which was undertaken by slash and burn clearance of the rainforest of Central Africa, and a war of extermination upon the pygmies and bushmen whom they encountered. Today, a war is being fought against whiteness, a cultural war which portrays every evil in the world as proceeding from the activities of white civilization. It is for this reason that the only slavery of which anybody talks is the transatlantic slave trade, because that was the one carried out by white people. That's why we hear so much about imperialism and colonialism, because these evils are said to have been an integral part of the growth of white civilization. The destruction of the planet via the mechanism of climate change is alleged to be imminent and will strike hardest against the less economically developed nations of Africa, Asia and the Pacific. Who is responsible for the devastation which is about to strike? Why, we are, of course. The Industrial Revolution began in England and was what triggered the industrialisation of the rest of the world, with supposedly catastrophic consequences for the rest of the planet. Not only that, but the mechanisation of such things as mills in the north of England stimulated the demand for cotton from America, and so was inextricably linked to the transatlantic slave trade, because it was slaves who picked the cotton. All the supposedly good things which have been produced since the 19th century by white civilization, ranging from mains electricity and lighting to cheap consumer goods and wonderful music and literature, have been part of the problem from this perspective, rather than a blessing which we have shared with the rest of the world. All the art and science, literature and philosophy and so on have been created by this dreadful system which is founded upon the destruction of the earth and exploitation of those in hot countries. Unless we understand this skewed point of view, we are not going to be able to understand why almost all the people we now see in advertisements are black. We are not going to be able to make sense of the way in which immigration from Africa and Asia is actively encouraged by the British government. We will not know why every television programme, even historical dramas, has black people forced into it. Unless we know about the war on whiteness, we will not see why the BBC's selection of great books, which they made for the Platinum Jubilee this year, leaves out famous authors such as Evelyn Waugh, Graham Greene, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and consists of black authors of whom we have never heard. The war on whiteness is a real thing. It may not have been declared openly, but it now affects every aspect of our lives in Britain. Intellectuals like Susan Sontag, who may be seen in the thumbnail to this video, are the ideologues behind this pernicious struggle.